Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Queen City Toastmasters. I'm David Jones. I'm Sergeant of Arms. Welcome to our hybrid meeting. Welcome to our friends on Zoom. Now, just had a little challenge for y'all. I am a co-host of a group called Empowering Entrepreneurs. It's a meetup group, and we meet up first and third Thursday of the month in the afternoon. And it's for entrepreneurs, self-help, it's that type of group. But like so many other groups, even like this one, you have to introduce yourself when you come to the group and tell a little bit about yourself. And like, I'm David, I'm in the insurance business. But we had a girl named Natalia, and she'll be here in a few weeks. She wants to join Toastmasters. But instead of introducing herself, she told a poem. She wrote a poem about herself, which I thought was an incredible way to introduce yourself to a group of people. And she was nervous and scared, but I just thought it was something interesting that maybe we could all think about is over time, just write a poem about yourself instead of getting up and saying, I'm Mike and I'm an engineer. Say something interesting. So just, that's my challenge to you. Thank you. That's a weight loss group that obviously somebody did well. Now we are going to have a couple changes. We got rid of our ballot counter role. We're not going to do ballot counting anymore, which is voting. Therefore, the timer is going to come out and introduce the roles of timer, but we're not going to call the timer to the end of the meeting. That's just going to help the meeting move along a little bit quicker. And I believe that's the only main changes we have. Eric, our Vice President of Education, is out of town, and our president is in Dominican. So I'd like to introduce you to our president. He was magna cum laude in Dominican Republic, where he's from, where he has an engineering degree. He then went on to his postgraduate degree at the University of Surrey in England. He's currently a board member of the Society for Information Management, and he's interim chief technology officer at Queen City Robotics Alliance. I don't know if that's the robotics dance. Maybe he'll tell us about it sometimes. Please welcome our president, Elvis Lopez.
Thank you, Davey, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It is a pleasure to be here, even if it is remotely. And that's one of the beauties of technology that allows us to stay together, even if it is at a distance. I'd like to start today by introducing our guests. I see some guests that are online, and possibly there are some other guests that are in person, and I would like David to help me out with the ones that are in person. But to start off, let's start a round of introductions with the ones that are online. I see John McNeil from Friendship Toastmasters, who is joining us for a second time. So please introduce yourself, just for the sake of everybody else to know you a little bit. Tell us, how did you hear about our club, and what is your goal by joining our meeting tonight?
I'm a second-time visitor from Friendship Toastmasters Club. David and Julia came to support our club about 3 weeks ago. So I decided to come and visit your club to see if I could get some ideas, see how you guys do things. So it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. Next up, say Kai. Am I saying it correctly? Please unmute yourself and introduce.
My name is Saray, and I heard of Toastmasters when I used to live in Florida. I decided to join to look into your group to see how you do it, to become a better communicator.
Great, thank you. Next up is going to be Kevin. age 41, 12, 42.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm not a robot. Hey guys, Andrew Schaefer. I work for Honeywell in their corporate real estate group. This is actually my first time joining in. And just by chance, I didn't realize that you guys actually met every Tuesday at 6:30. I just stumbled upon the link because I heard it through a colleague that recommended it. Anyways, hoping to just improve upon my presentation skills, get more comfortable with public speaking, just altogether. So yeah, excited to see what this group has to offer. And yeah, again, Andrew Schaefer, not H48 1242.
Thank you for joining us, Andrew. And now, David, back to you.
All right, thank you. And we do have some guests in here and some first timers. I'm gonna walk around and have them introduce themselves. How'd you hear about us and what do you hope to get out of this meeting? Start with you.
Thank you. Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm Medj Francis, and I belong to Monday 6-0, which is out in South Park. But I've been a member of Toastmasters for quite some time, being a member of 3 clubs in Atlanta. So I'm somewhat of a veteran, but left Toastmasters a while ago and just getting back into things. So I am interested in continuously challenging myself by visiting different clubs and exposing myself to different environments just to get out of that comfort zone. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. What best way to learn is to visit other clubs. I appreciate it. Another guest of ours.
Right. My name is Carissa. I work as an X-ray technologist. I'm going to be working at the new Ballantyne Hospital. We officially opened June 12th. I decided to take Toastmasters because I want to be more confident in public speaking. I want to be better in work interactions and more poised in disagreements. And that's it.
Thank you. Okay. Next up. Any guest, I believe, Princess.
Hi, everyone. My name is Princess. This is my 3rd time as a guest. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and it's very difficult running a business if you can't, have the confidence to get up on stage to speak. I have the leadership skills. It's just really bad anxiety when it's time to, talk in front of crowds. So I'm here to get better, learn from you guys, and challenge myself as well.
And you just chipped away it a little bit by standing up and saying that. And next up.
So everybody, my name is Kendall. I'm a software engineer. I joined Toastmasters because they were supposed to have a Toastmasters at my job like a couple years ago, but then the pandemic hit. So didn't have a chance to kind of develop those skills, but always been very introverted, always been kind of to myself, very weird kind of speaking in public. So I'd realized that in order for me to feel a little bit more confident about some of the things that I want to do, I need to work on my, public speaking skills and being more clear and concise whenever I'm communicating. So that's what I'm trying to get out of this.
Thank you much, Kendall. And might as well introduce technically a guest, but a former member, if you want to introduce yourself, because half the people here don't know who you are. Yeah. It's tall day, by the way. I think all of our guests are tall.
Who's running the social media stuff here? Like, who's in charge of that?
That is,
Yeah, I can tell you, when I was a member of this club, I think I recognized 5 people in here. Everybody else is just strangers. Or I'm Ali. I'm a former member, still kind of member. Show up every now and then when I have the time to. As you can see, I'm stepping to the back because I'm checking emails going back and forth. What we do? Okay. I'll say this. I think Toastmasters is good for, because I think Toastmasters is good for public speaking. I've seen people come in and Toastmasters introverted, don't talk to anyone. Like, that's not me. I talk to everyone, but like very like analytical. And all of a sudden, 6 months later, I've seen them giving speeches confident as if they can go become the president of the United States. And I think confidence is really what you get from this group, because I think Les Brown said, he said, once you open up your mouth, you tell the world who you are.
thank you, Ali. And back to you, Elvis.
Thank you, David. And welcome back, Ali. It's good to hear you after a couple of months. So now I will like to introduce the person who is volunteering. As you may know, the ones who are here for the first time probably don't know this, but we have a member of the club who is volunteering to be leading the meeting, and we call it the Toastmaster of the Day. This Toastmaster had his first time as a Toastmaster of the Day a couple of weeks ago. He did an excellent job, and apparently he liked it, so he volunteered to do it again. And I'm sure he is going to do even better than the first time. So that's what this is all about. He is our current club secretary. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the Day, Colin Stifler.
Welcome, Colin.
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, future Toastmasters, former Toastmasters, and honored guests. It is a pleasure to be with you tonight, and it's a great day to work on being better communicators. So thank you for coming out for yourselves and each other. Just a quick point of housekeeping with this microphone. This microphone does not actually route to these speakers that you see here. This is so the folks who are joining us online can hear us. So please be mindful of speaking into the microphone tonight if I hand it off to you. My friends, we live in a tense political age, and that feels like an understatement. Fierce differences of opinion about public policy and the way that the government should be run has driven wedges between friends, families, and even entire communities. But public opinion research shows that there is still broad support for one particular public issue, and that is the value of parks and other public spaces. So let's do our own public opinion poll for a moment. If you believe that parks are valuable community assets, please raise your hand. As I suspected, it's unanimous. People love parks. They love them. And here's the good news, park lovers. There are over 100,000 public parks and public spaces in these United States. The biggest provider of public parks are local governments. City and county parks are most likely the parks that you visit on a regular basis because generally speaking, they're closest to where you live. The next biggest provider of public parks are state governments. So here in North Carolina, from the mountains to the coast and everywhere in between, there are dozens of state parks and state historic sites for you and your families and friends to enjoy. But the smallest provider of public parks in number, but paradoxically the largest in terms of land area of their parks, is the federal government. So the federal government provides a vast array of parks and public spaces for our pleasure. These include national forests like the Nantahala, Pisgah, and Uwharrie National Forests right here in North Carolina. National seashores like the Cape Hatteras and Cape Lookout National Seashores in the Outer Banks. National parkways like the Blue Ridge Parkway, as well as the lesser known but no less spectacular Cherohala Skyway in Western North Carolina. Definitely recommend checking out the latter. It's actually where I proposed to my wife several years ago. So it holds a particular significance to me. Also, National Historical Military Park. So 40 minutes south of here in South Carolina, we have the Kings Mountain National Historical Military Park. It's in the same class of historical military parks as Gettysburg, the site of the famous Civil War battle in Pennsylvania. It's also worth a visit. It's very nice. It's got wonderful amenities. And there's also national monuments, national rivers, and national recreation centers. Or yes, I believe that's the case, yes. But the crown jewel of America's public park system are the U.S. national parks. And there are 63 in total, located in 30 states and 2 overseas U.S. territories. These parks are spectacular. They represent the best of American nature and culture that's represented through physical space, natural physical space in our country. And these are actually designated for one of at least 4 reasons, not limited to one though. The first of which is their natural beauty. So something with stunning, unique natural beauty can qualify for designation as a national park. Another reason are unique geological features, such as the wonderful desert national parks in Utah, which have these stunning, unique rock features that almost make you feel like you're on a Martian landscape somewhere. Also qualifying are things that have diverse ecosystems, places that have diverse ecosystems. And finally, places that have recreational opportunities. So it has to tick one of those boxes, but it's not limited to just one. And in fact, many parks tick many of those boxes. So there's going to be an educational vibe to tonight's meeting. I'm going to throw some fun facts and trivia your way, and I'd like to kick things off with a little question. So within a 4-hour drive of downtown or uptown Charlotte, North Carolina, you can reach 4 U.S. national parks. Does anyone know any of these parks? I'm sorry? Okay, so that's not a U.S. national park. No.
Smoky Mountains, Smoky Mountains.
Great Smoky Mountain National Park, that's one of them. That's one of them. That may be a different type of national public space, but it's not a national park. I'm actually not familiar with that one. After the meeting, I want you to show me it. All right, fine. I guess it's not a public park anymore. It's not a public park anymore. All right, so we've got Great Smoky Mountain. That's located about 3 hours drive west of here, and that's to get to the North Carolina side. It also spans eastern Tennessee as well. Leon, did you have your hand up? So the Blue Ridge Parkway is a national parkway, but that's a different designation than a national park. It's a national seashore. It's a national seashore. Yes. So there is one national park in South Carolina. It's located about 2 hours south of here, just southeast of Columbia, South Carolina. It's called Congaree National Park, Congaree. And it is a fairly recent national park. I believe it was designated as such within the last 10 years. So the 2 other national parks, unless anyone else has any other ideas, I don't want to preempt anyone. Mount Pisgah is a national forest, so it is a federal park. So the other 2 national parks, I'm sorry?
Is it Wrightsville Beach?
No, sir. No, sir. I apologize.
Okay.
Wrightsville Beach. Wrightsville Beach. So these are all great guesses. There are 2 more, and I'm not surprised that folks might not know them because they're not particularly close. They're in the further stage of that 4-mile range. There's New River Gorge National Park in southern West Virginia. It's our country's newest national park. It was designated a national park in 2020. And then the other one is Shenandoah National Park in Northwest Virginia. It's one of our oldest national parks and also one of the most visited every year. All right, so I hope I haven't bummed everyone out throwing stuff above everyone's head here. Clearly, I'm an enthusiast. I know many of you are as well. So my ask of you all tonight is, if you rise to speak during tonight's meeting, regardless of your role, please begin by telling us what your favorite national park is that you visited. Or if you haven't visited one, please share with us one which you would like to visit. All right. So with that long preamble over, we're going to kick things off with our inspiration station. The Miltman, Milt Pizarro, who's going to come up here and gas up the hype machine and get the people going.
Thank you, Colin, for that introduction. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today, I decided to choose for banter and also for inspiration, the least inspiring topic I could possibly think of. Discipline. Now, if you think about it, I mean, if you try to twist it around philosophically, you could find some motivation in discipline, right? How did I come up with discipline? Well, I was flipping through my Facebook and I come across this wonderful quote by, you guessed it, Mike Tyson. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. So that really did strike a chord with me because a lot of times I find myself struggling to do the things I know I need to do, to eat the veggies or the vegetables of life, per se, right? The things you really should be doing that you know are in your best interest long term, like exercise, putting together that speech for Toastmasters, whatever it might be, right? But if you lean into it, at least this is what I gather from my experience, right? If you lean into it and look for that joy and break that ice and make that commitment, you might actually come to develop a different type of personality or a different type of relationship with that task or that concept, right? So in closing, I thought this was a great quote. I love Mike Tyson. I mean, you know, he's the best of the best, right? Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it.
Thank you very much, Milton, giving the people what they want as always. So next, I'm going to transition to introducing a couple colleagues who are going to join me in making sure that this meeting is a success tonight. And we're going to start off with the word doctor, Leon White, who's serving as our grammarian tonight.
Thank you. Hi, how's everybody doing today? Everybody doing good? Good, moving right along. So today I am your grammarian, and part of my job is to help us get a little bit better with our grammar, our filler words, because as a speaker, your words are very important. Your words are your shield, they are your sword, they are your everything. And so today, as your grammarian, another part of my job is to catch and track filler words. Just so as you develop as a speaker, you can kind of become more conscious and aware of them, as they do at times take away from your central message. So I'll be tracking words such as ums, us, improper uses of certain words like so or like and so. And also part of my job is to give us the word of the day. So in tandem with the theme of today, the word that I chose is idyllic. And idyllic means pleasing or picturesque in a natural simplicity. So if we were to use that in a sentence, it would maybe go something like, America's national parks can provide any outdoor enthusiast with an idyllic view. So that is the word of the day. And so be mindful of your filler words. And just a quick tip, if you feel that you're tripping up over your head and you feel a filler word coming, just take a brief pause, gather yourself, and continue speaking on. Let's hope to have a good meeting. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Leon, or should I say Dr. Leon? It's an underrated role, the importance of the grammarian role. He's really a linguistic dietitian, making sure we put the right words in so we get the right words out. So thank you in advance for your help tonight, Leon. Next, I'd like to call up my partner in time, Marcelo Pena, who's going to be counting the minutes and seconds and playing those funky disco lights.
So, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. All the Toastmasters, how we doing today? Thank you, thank you. So as the timer, I'm basically gonna be, keeping an eye on the speeches and basically the time. So keep an eye on, again, your filler words and just the time of your speech. Make sure that it's in line and that you don't go over, but if you do, it's okay. No worries. We're here to get better. We're here to practice and, again, just evolve. When we go to the table topics, you have 1 minute. I will turn on the green light. There we go. Then we will go to 1 minute and 30 seconds. We turn on the yellow. After that, the red means that you're nearing 2 minutes. So just be aware of that. But again, no worries, no pressure. Just do your thing and let's have a great speech tonight. Thank you so much. Let me pass it on to our Toastmaster of the evening. Colin, pleasure.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster Marcelo, also an important role, keeping us on time and on target. So this is a big boat that we're all part of tonight. We got to get from A to B. A question for you all, good people. In 2022, what was the most visited national park in the country? Was it A, Great Smoky Mountain National Park here in North Carolina / Tennessee? B, Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming / Idaho / Montana? Or C, the Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona? So please raise your hand if you think it's Great Smoky Mountain. Okay, please raise your hand if you think it is Yellowstone. All right, who thinks Grand Canyon? All right, where are my Great Smoky Mountain people at? It is Great Smoky Mountain National Park here in good old North Carolina, and it isn't even close. So Great Smoky Mountain National Park, 12.5 million visitors, 3 times the amount of visitors last year as the next most visited national park, the Grand Canyon. So North Carolina's on the map, y'all. If you haven't been there yet, get out there. So with that, I'd like to bring up our first speaker tonight. The man is an electric factory, charisma on command. I'm a big fan of anything this guy does with the microphone. Please give it up for Toastmaster Cameron Hamrick, who's going to deliver a speech titled The Power of Paper.
Thanks, sir. All right. I'm electric, apparently. Okay, I'll try the microphone for a minute, just in case I get antsy and want to move around. So Milton, I also like Mike Tyson's quote, and it's this one. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And Colin, you wanted me to share a story? So it's not National Forest story, but I proposed to my wife in the Nantahala Forest with shoes that weren't made for hiking in 3 inches of snow. So we fell a lot, but she still said yes. So that's all that matters, right? So my speech will be 5 to 7 minutes for our timer. So we'll go ahead and get started now. By show of hands, how many of you have ever received an email from someone and in their email signature, they had something along the lines of this? Please consider the environment before printing this email. Or save trees, print only when necessary. Anybody? Quite a few of you. Well, I receive those email signatures all the time in my job. And I wanted to start compiling my own data because it seems like the consensus was that there's an overwhelmingly negative view on paper products and our paper industry. Well, at my job, I help support over 20 paper mills in the Carolinas and Virginia. So I get to go to a lot of paper mills and I get to meet a lot of people. So I wanted to compile my own research and my own data and share some of that with you tonight. So the 3 main areas that we're going to focus on tonight are the paper products, the environmental impact, and the economical impact. So for our paper products, those are broken down into 3 different categories. One being printing, one being packaging, and one being tissue. So for printing, that is anything from this printer paper to books, to newspapers, magazines, receipt paper, basically anything you would write on or read off of. Packaging. Anybody ever ordered anything from Amazon? I know if we go a couple days at my house without ordering anything, they call to check on us. Make sure we're okay. That came in a cardboard box. That cardboard box came from a paper mill. So did the pizza box that your pizza came in. So did the egg carton that your eggs came in. So did the milk carton. So did your juice carton. All part of the packaging of paper products. Last category is tissue. Pretty self-explanatory. Tissue paper, paper towels, diapers, which my 2-year-old son goes through a lot of those, and feminine products all come from paper products from paper mills. So I hope you can see that paper plays a big part in our lives. Next, we'll go on to the environmental impact. Did you know that 65%, so we'll start with recycling. Did you know that 65% of all paper products are recycled in this country? And better than that, paper can be recycled up to 7 times, which in comparison to glass, plastic, or aluminum can only be recycled 2 to 3 times before it loses its structural integrity. Last year, the United States recycled 50 million tons of paper. Wasn't even close. The next one in line was glass at only 3 million tons. Plastic, 2.5. Aluminum cans, or just aluminum in general, 1 million tons. So 50 times more paper was recycled in this country than aluminum cans. One of the good things about paper is that it comes from a natural resource, wood. So for the 35% that does go to a landfill, it doesn't have quite the environmental impact because it decomposes a lot faster. In fact, most paper products decompose within from 2 weeks to a maximum of 5 years. In comparison, it's estimated that an aluminum can takes up to 50 years to decompose. Plastic bottle estimated to be up to 450 years to fully decompose. Another environmental impact of paper is that because it comes from a natural resource, wood is also a renewable resource. Let me ask a question. If I were to ask you, do you think there's more or less trees in the United States today than there was 100 years ago? What would you say? Less? Less? That's what everybody would say. Wrong. There's more trees in the United States today than there was 100 years ago. All paper products come from most, not all, most trees that make paper products come from a managed forest. Most of those managed forests are managed by the companies who own the paper mills. And for every tree that they harvest, cut down, they plant between 2 and 3 trees back in its place, which is very good for the planet. Managed forest trees, good for the wildlife. But how are they good for humans? Trees absorb carbon dioxide and other pollutants from the air and convert it into breathable oxygen. I think we all feel pretty strongly about oxygen, right? So trees are a good thing. And managed forests are a good thing. Last area I want to focus on is economic impact. According to the American Forest and Paper Association, the forest products industry accounts for roughly 4% of our country's GDP, gross domestic product. To put that in perspective, that's over $300 billion that our country generates off of paper products alone. And in the great state of North Carolina, over 40,000 jobs are created because of paper mills. That's $2.5 billion in payroll. It really, really helps our state. So in conclusion, I hope after giving you some of this data, if you ever see an email signature from someone that says, please consider the environment before you print this email, or save the trees, I hope you will be able to say, I am going to print this email because it's actually a good thing.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Cameron, for the very insightful speech. I didn't know that. I'll bear that in mind. Go home and start printing immediately after this meeting. So not a question for you this time, but just a fun fact. Flip side of the question I asked you last. So in 2022, the least visited national park in the U.S. national park system was not in a state. It was in the U.S. overseas territory of American Samoa in Polynesia, just a stone's throw from Australia. It had 9,000 visitors, 9,000 visitors. So American Samoa, it's a place, it's not just a Girl Scout cookie. Good Girl Scout cookies at that. So there's a quote that I'm particularly fond of. It's by the writer and historian Wallace Stegner, and it goes, I quote, "National parks are the best idea we've ever had. Absolutely American, absolutely democratic. They reflect us at our best instead of at our worst." And it's true, they are democratic. The process of preserving and designating land as a natural public space into perpetuity for future generations to enjoy requires an act of Congress. The House of Representatives and the US Senate both have to vote national parks into existence. And that's a nice segue into our next speech tonight, which will be about a democratic process we have here at Toastmasters that is very important to the ongoing function and success of our club. And to talk about that, I'd like to hand things over to El Presidente Elvis Lopez, who will be joining us on Zoom.
Thank you, Colin. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, and please let me know if you can all see my screen.
We can, Elvis. Thank you.
Great, thank you. About 3 years ago, roughly a little over 3 years ago, I was called upon to fulfill a role as part of a club that I was part of for a few months. I had been part of that club also previously for a few other years. And being at the club, I was participating as a member, but at some point, that call came in to step up and take action. And today I would like to call upon all of our members to step up and take action towards their leadership goals and advancing as part of filling a position as a club officer role. If you all are familiar with the law of attraction, you know that we attract everything that we think of, things that we believe on, that we believe in. But also, if you also are familiar with the law of the right action, those two come together. You can achieve everything you believe in, but also you need to take action. One of the things that we have as part of the Toastmaster, and specifically for the clubs, is in order to provide the opportunity for all members to have a leadership role or to be able to occupy a position and advance in their career as a leader, is the succession. And next month, we are going to be executing or exercising the succession within our club. And that starts July 1st by introducing the new officers and end up by June 30 next year. So for that to take place, we need to run elections, and those elections will be held on June 20. June 20, which is basically 2 weeks from now. What are we going to be electing for? For those who are not familiar with the club officer roles, all of the roles that you see on the screen, 8 specifically, are the club officer roles Those who are actual officer roles, please stand up so that the members who are on site can see you. Unfortunately, those who are online may not see the room, but if you can help us, David, maybe we can see the camera and see everybody there. So I would like also to call upon those members who are current officers to join me and come up to this stage so that we can do a brief exercise to go over the positions and let the other members know a little bit about what those positions entail and what are we actually voting and electing for. So we have on site our club secretary. Myself, I am the president. We have the treasurer, Jamie Richardson, and also our sergeant at arms, who is David.
Excellent.
I will start off. Yes.
After you, sir.
Okay, so I will start off as part of the president. The president provides helpful supportive leadership for all the club activities. We specifically are the face of the club outside of it and inside. We participate specifically as the president in all of the executive meetings for the region and also for the district. The president strives to show respect for all members, and even if we don't agree with them, and the goal is to provide leadership for all. We also stay current with all new developments via the leadership letter and the announcement that are published on the Toastmasters website. As you see, I participate in all of the meetings, or most of the meetings, and step up to provide any support and take decisions and support in every role that needs to be filled in and outside the meetings. I would now like to let the other members who are on site, starting with our secretary, to let us know a little bit about your role and what you do as the secretary for the club.
Thank you very much, President Lopez. Hello, everyone. I am the club secretary for Queen City Toastmasters, a capacity in which I have served for the past year. So in my role as secretary, I'm charged with keeping track of various club records, notably meeting minutes from our monthly club officers meetings in which we discuss pertinent priorities and other initiatives that we're undertaking as a club. Admittedly, I probably do the least among my colleagues, but it is a nice entry-level role into club officer ranks so that you can progress up through the ranks ultimately to president if you so desire, which I highly recommend, and I hope for myself in due time, because one of the reasons why I'm here is hopefully to build executive communication and presence abilities for myself that I can leverage in my own career. So.
Thank you. I am Jamie Richardson. I am the club treasurer, and mainly that means you hear from me twice a year when it's time to pay dues, both to Queen City Toastmasters as well as the Toastmasters International. But those dues are well spent. We use that money to invest in our space. We use that money to invest in our Zoom capabilities and technology. And so I encourage all of you to think about how you can continue to invest in the club as well. I also am responsible for signing up new members into our Queen City Toastmasters website, as well as on Toastmasters International. So anyone who's a new member, you will certainly hear from me when I reach out and get you fully enrolled and up and running in Toastmasters. I will turn it over to our Sergeant at Arms.
Thank you. As Sergeant of Arms, I'm in charge of setting up the room, taking down the room, the audio visual. I also have to keep a good relationship with the church. I'm their point of contact because it's an honor for us to be able to have such a great space from them. We do give them a donation each year, But in order to keep them happy, we have to make sure we keep it clean and orderly and just the way they want it. Also be respectful to them because there's pews literally 10 feet above us. So we have to make sure that we're respectful of the institution we're in. And I speak to the church leaders about that on a regular basis. That's the main role that I do. The good thing about my role, although it's a lot of work, is obviously I get to speak twice a week. I start the meeting as Sergeant of Arms, and then I do another role. So that's one of the advantages. The other advantage, I'm not sure if I was going to get into it, but as a club officer, then you move on to the area division, and then you just keep moving up the ladder. But in order to do so, you have to start at the club level. Back to you, President Elvis.
Thank you, David. And I would like to go over some of the other roles. The members who are currently in that position are not in our meeting tonight. They're also very active in our club, and you may have known them from previous meetings. Our Vice President of Education currently is Eric Laxer, Dr. Eric Laxer. The Vice President of Education basically is the one who scheduled the member speeches and the projects, is the one who serves as a resource for all the questions about the education, awards, and the speech contest, and it's basically the one leading the mentor program at the club. Is the source of the Toastmasters knowledge for any of the club members. The other role is the VP of membership, and our VP of membership is also not with us tonight. The VP of membership is basically the one who is in constant contact with our members. Our guests basically are welcomed and have the first contact with our VP of membership. He is the one who is following up with the guests in order to convert them into guests and introduce them to the club. Is the one who attentively monitors the membership levels and strategizes with the rest of the executive committee about the how to overcome any challenges that the members may have. The VP of Public Relations is the one who is promoting the club to the local community. Is the one currently in our social media influenced world, is the one who is actually actively posting to all of the social media the club is part of. That includes YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We also have presence in Meetup. We also have a Instagram and Facebook account, and also LinkedIn. So the VP of Public Relations gets involved with publicizing the club to the rest of the world, in this case to the community. And last but not least is the immediate past president. We also have, as part of this succession, this counseling and advice for the incoming president. The past president remains as part of the executive team and is also actively participating in all of the executive meetings to provide counseling and help in all of the matters as part of a senior Toastmaster member. With that, I would like to invite all of our members to embrace the opportunity that lies before you to make a lasting impact and create the possibility of making this an opportunity, or continue making this an opportunity for growth, learning, and supporting our club members. Please, let's do this together. Let's continue promoting the club, stepping up, and taking this opportunity that is given to us to volunteer and do something for the club, do something for us as part of our personal growth process, but also to help out the cost of having an integrate club, which is something that we all are very proud of and are willing to continue supporting all of the members who are willing to participate and embrace any of the club officer roles. The only requisite to become a club member is to be active at the club, is to be a member that is actively participating at the club. As you see, some of the positions or some of the roles would need more engagement than other of the roles. And my experience, particularly, I started as a secretary. I went up to the VP of Education, and now I'm the current president. And all I can say is, if I could do it, anybody can do it. I was terrified. I was not willing to participate. I was in the club as a Toastmaster, or actually go into the meetings for several years and never get engaged into any role or any position as a club officer until I started. And that was a very impressive opportunity that actually gave me the courage to continue following up on that step and moving up and helping the club, and also, helping myself. As I mentioned, it's an opportunity for us to continue growing. So with that, I will reiterate that our elections are next in the next 2 weeks. It's actually in June 20. We request at least to have a quorum. So all the members, please separate the date, put it in your schedule, because even if you cannot be participating in the meeting, the entire meeting, you can join the first 5 to 10 minutes just to do the reiteration of the members who are basically proposed for the different positions. And that basically take 5 to 10 minutes. So in order to have a quorum, since the club now has 29 members, we would need to have at least 15 members joining our meeting on the 20th in order to have quorum to continue forward with our elections. So please put it in your calendar, if you are a member of Queen City Toastmasters, to join our meeting on the 20th so that we can have quorum and support our next group of members who are going to take the leadership of our club. With that, I would like to close it by calling up back our Toastmaster of the day. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, President Elvis, for the insightful educational presentation about this very important democratic process and structure that we have here at our club. Again, calling all members, please come out on 2 Tuesdays in order to help us reach that minimum that we need for a quorum. And just to briefly pile on, give you a little bit more of the hard sell. This club is a volunteer enterprise. No one here is getting paid, unfortunately. It's done out of the goodness of folks' hearts. Point to Mr. Queen City Toastmaster David Jones for all of his hard work in setting us up so that we can have the opportunity to join online as well as come here in person in this hybrid world that we all live in, that we demand as a right these days. So if you have it in yourself to make what is frankly a modest commitment to the club, you've been a member for a little while, you feel comfortable giving back in that way, please do so. If not, if you're a newer member, or if it's not something that you feel inclined or have the time to do, please come and be an active member. Show up to meetings, participate in roles, help us make this a meaningful experience in that way. Another great way to help make sure that you're pitching in and strengthening this great community of practice that we have here is just sticking around a few extra minutes after the meeting, stacking up chairs, helping move tables into the back. showing up a few minutes early to do the setup if you can't stay a little later. So just all things to consider. This is a great place. I really enjoy coming here every Tuesday. It wouldn't be possible without the hard work of a lot of people. So thank you to everyone who makes this possible. Another trivia question for you. Which state has the most national parks with nine national parks? Is it A, Utah, B, California, or C, Alaska? Who thinks Utah? We got one for Utah. We got a half of a vote for Utah. We got 2 Utahs online. What about California? Who thinks California? All right, I'm not going to count that much, but it's significantly more hands. Who thinks Alaska? Alaska. It is California. California with 9. Alaska is just behind with 8 national parks. So with our next step here in tonight's meeting, I'd like to call upon Jamie Richardson, who is our table topics master. He's going to ask us a couple questions that get us thinking on our feet. Another activity that really gets me thinking on my feet, hiking in a national park, but I'll settle for table topics.
Thank you. So I'm going to let NPR know the next time they have a fund drive, Colin, they should call you. That was excellent. All right, let's get back to our national park party then. I am your table topics master. I will be facilitating this portion, which is an opportunity to come up and practice your impromptu speaking. I'll start with a bit of an anecdote though. So I grew up going to the Cumberland Island National Seashore, and it's an amazing place. Go to Little Cumberland Island, remote island off the coast of Brunswick, Georgia. Literally nothing out there except houses, no roads, all sandy beaches, like going back in time. So that was my national park experience. All right, in this role, you'll have 1 to 2 minutes to prepare your remarks and your table topics. 1 minute will be green, 1:30 will be yellow, 2 minutes will be red, and then we'll again do a timer's report at the end. So do I have an intrepid volunteer for our first table topics question? All right, come on up. I don't know if you got to answer this question at the beginning since you weren't, you were before our Toastmaster of the day. So why don't you just start with, tell us about an experience you had in a national park.
All right. An experience I've had in a national park. Well, I've been to several. Been a while since I've gone to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which was exhilarating. First time I ever saw deer when I was a child was in Great Smoky Mountains. I went to Grand Tetons. Is that a national park? Yeah. Beautiful park, beautiful mountains. Quite the contrast in scenery. Where else did I go? Went to the Grand Canyon. Also, very different, beautiful scenery. Just one of these wonders of nature. Just looking down there, I can remember. I still want to go and camp. That's one of my bucket list items, is to go camp in the bottom of the, yeah. So, did I answer the question? What was the question? The original question. Experience. Yes. So yeah, just gazing, you know, taking in all the nature and everything that nature has to offer. Wonderful experience. I very much encourage each and every one of you to get out there, do the same. And well, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. It's about getting up here and sharing experiences. That's what we do every time. All right, do I have another volunteer to come up and embrace this idyllic environment to do a table topics question? Yes, Yasmin? All right, I'll give you the mic in a second. All right, your question. I probably already raised your hands, but maybe you can expound on this a little bit. Do you support using taxpayer money to pay for national parks?
Absolutely not. I feel like when it comes to taxpayer dollars, obviously we are contributing to a lot of the necessities that we need in everyday life. Things like, we're fixing roads and benefits for people who are disabled, and that obviously things that are a necessity. And I feel like parks are something that kind of encapsulate the natural beauty of the country. It's kind of something that, while a lot of the country is being taken over by buildings and businesses and homes and all these things that bring in money, I feel like it's more so up to the government, whether it's city, state, or federal, to kind of preserve those areas just so we have somewhere to go. Just to kind of escape. Like, I like to go to parks a lot. I walk Freedom a lot. When I go back home, I go to Everglades National Park a lot. And it's really just a very idyllic just scenery to intake, to get away from just the everyday hustle and bustle and kind of be around nature. So I really just think that it's something that the government needs to take care of and not us. Thank you.
All right, I got 2 more questions. In the back, sorry, I don't have your name. I'll get Elliot next. Okay. Oh, no? Yeah. Come on up. Great, you're up here. All right, I'm going to ask the question and I'll hand you the mic so the folks on Zoom can hear you. All right, your question is, many national parks are rich with natural resources. What is your view on permitting the extraction of those resources, whether it's oil and gas, minerals, timber?
What a question. I think that it's very important to preserve those minerals as they're assets to our communities, right? Just take oil, for example. We are able to do so much with oil. Sorry, guys, hold on. I'm still trying to think of this question. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If that'd be,
Second question. If you could visit one national park, what would it be and why?
Okay. If I could visit one national park, is the Grand Canyon a national park? I would visit the Grand Canyon. I've always wanted to go. I think that it stands out from all the different parks, being that it's not a lot of greenery. You get to see just beautiful landscape all around, and it's something I've always wanted to experience as a younger child. So the Grand Canyon is what I would go and experience. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming up. All right, one more, Elliot. Okay, come on up. All right. Do you want that last question? The last one might be tougher, or the next one. Let's go back. We'll do one that we've already done. So, tell us about an experience you had in a national park and what made it memorable.
Okay, so an experience I've had in a national park would be the Adirondack National Park. That's a park, right? National, I would assume so. Let's say the Adirondack National Park. It's in upstate New York. My brother used to live over in upstate New York, and it's always great to go see my brother. I only see him like every year, every other year. He takes contract jobs and travels. So in this case, he was living in upstate New York, and I went up there, and we spent a lot of time just going out to the Adirondack National Park, whether it was going on trails or just driving around it, or they have like little lakeside areas, little lakeside towns within the national park. So really just taking the time to, I'd say the most memorable experience wasn't fully the park. I mean, the park was beautiful, amazing, really green and really green and beautiful, especially in the summer. So just going up there and visiting my brother and spending some time in a beautiful national park.
Thank you, Elliot. All right, that concludes our table topics portion. Thank you for all of our table topic speaker. Thank you for coming up and taking the risk. I will turn it back to our Toastmaster of the evening, Colin.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jamie. Excellent questions. And to all of our participants, very good job. Take some stones coming up here to answer an improvised question. So I'm slightly irreverent Toastmaster of the evening. Final trivia question for you all tonight. Which state has both the largest national park and the national park with the United States' highest mountain? Is it A, Washington, B, Alaska, or C, Hawaii? Who thinks Washington? Okay. How about Alaska? Hawaii? The answer is B, Alaska. So it is home to the largest national park. It's called Wrangell St. Elias National Park. 30 million acres. It is huge. Also somewhat difficult to get to. Not very many amenities there for your enjoyment. You're lucky to just have a couple gravel roads to get into the park, basically. And then also Denali National Park, which is home to Mount McKinley, the highest mountain in the country, which is 20,500 feet tall. So it's a big one. It's a big one. So with that, we're going to enter our evaluation stage of tonight's meeting. And if the prepared speeches are the gooey center of the Toastmaster cinnamon roll, the evaluation is really the icing. So to lead us through that, we've got DJ David Jones to break down all the action.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Kind of a city slicker. Now I'm more in the mountains and everything since I lived here. But my ex-wife and I had flown into Las Vegas, rented a car, drove to Grand Canyon. We were probably there 20 minutes. Kind of looked at it and said, okay, and we went on back to Vegas. So that was my excitement there. Probably why she's my ex-wife too. No. All right. We're kind of running behind time, so I want to get our evaluator up here, and part of Toastmasters for the guest. So whenever you give a speech, you get feedback from one of your peers, and the very idyllic Alan is going to give us a evaluation on Cameron's speech. Please welcome Alan.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Tonight was one of those rare meetings where we otherwise did not have a prepared speech, and Cameron was gracious enough to recycle a previous speech that he had given, which is great because it afforded all of our guests to see what a prepared speech looks like, as well as right now what an evaluation looks like. So it's my job then to be the icing on Cameron's cinnamon roll. Well, first of all, Cameron, thank you for sharing your speech with us. And I'm really glad that you did not tell us that this was an old speech and that you were just doing this off the cuff, because at the end of the day, even though I just told it to everybody, nobody else needs to know that. All we know is that what you just shared with us. And you came up here with such poise and such a wealth of knowledge that we wouldn't have even known that you had just come up with this or just given it previously anyway. And then I love how you told me that you had a list of notes, but I hardly ever saw you looking at them because you really didn't need them. And if you did, it was just to glance at them for about a second and then just made eye contact right back with the rest of the room. You did a great job engaging the audience with several questions, such as if we've ever noticed the green stamp in the email signature, or if we've ever used Amazon. You had a good structure. You told us what you were going to tell us throughout the speech. And you came up here with such poise and such a wealth of knowledge that we wouldn't have even known that you had just come up with this or just given it previously anyway. And then I love how you told us what you were going to tell us throughout the speech. Did a great job engaging humor throughout, especially my favorite part about Amazon checking in if you've gone more than a few days without buying something from them. There were several effective pauses that you incorporated throughout the speech after each of your points as far as the benefits of paper. And then tying back into the humor, I loved how you left us with a call to action about going ahead and printing that email. So thank you for that. I do have two main suggestions if you decide to give the speech again or may also benefit you in future speeches. The first one is to leave out saying the words "in conclusion." A strong conclusion will let the audience know that you're about to wrap it up. And I felt like everything you had to say right at the very end spoke for itself. And then vocal variety, I think, is your biggest opportunity. It's obvious that you're passionate about paper and obviously it's your livelihood. So I think a little bit more positive inflection would have benefited the speech. You could have just told us how great paper was. Great. Yes. You know, maybe not as dramatic as that, but you get the idea. But again, Cameron, thank you so much for sharing your speech with us and affording the audience an opportunity to see what a full-length meeting looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And Alan is the president of Valentine Toastmasters. They meet on Thursday night. So if you want to check out another club and see what they do, they're also hybrid. You can talk to Alan after the meeting. Next up is our timer. You want to tell us how everybody did tonight? You don't have time when you come up here.
So, first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Colin, man. You're an amazing Toastmaster, brother. I really do enjoy every time that he comes up here and he does his thing. I love it. I really do love it. So, Cameron, I learned so much about paper today. I didn't know that paper went so deep. That's awesome. You came in at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, brother. So amazing, amazing. Then when we went to the table topics, Milton, you did your thing, even though you kind of slipped up a little bit. No worries, brother. You came in at 1 minute even. Good job. Yasmin, you came in at 1 minute, 8 seconds. So you did amazing too. Princess, you were doing amazing in the beginning. I'll be honest with you. That's a hard question. Keep flowing. I love your energy. 49 seconds. Elliot, oddly enough, 49 seconds as well. So awesome, everybody. Congratulations. And I'm going to hand it back over to fellow Toastmasters. What's next? What we got to do? Oh, yes. I'm sorry. The evaluator. Sorry about that, brother. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. That was your time.
Appreciate it. And I'll get it in one more time. Our idyllic grammarian. You want to give us your report? Leon, I'll mark down one more for David. Thank you. Leon White. Thank you.
Great meeting. Overall, very clean. Just a few things to point out. Milton, I'd challenge you in terms of grammar, maybe being a little bit more cautious of using the word, Jamie did excellent. Kudos to you for using the word of the day. Yasmin, a few ums and uhs. However, your flow of thought was very idyllic. Princess, you're a natural. Your flow of thought, your energy, your ability to articulate yourself was amazing. A few ums. Elliot, great as well. The energy you brought up. A few ums. Other than that, the energy that you brought really, if you weren't paying attention, you probably would have missed them. And David, kudos to you for using the word of the day twice. And one thing that I've been challenging myself to do with the word of the day is you can take these words and apply them to your vernacular outside of Toastmasters. So definitely bring them into your everyday life. And there's one other note that I want to say in regards to volunteering for positions within the executive staff here at Queen City and or volunteering for positions enrolls at the everyday meeting. As was said earlier, all of this is done freely, but I would almost challenge that to say that it's not always what you're earning, but it's what you're learning. And I will say that the things that I've learned from Toastmasters have helped me to earn more outside of Toastmasters. Sergeant in Arms, David.
Thank you, Leon. Yes, and Queen City is the oldest club in Charlotte. We've been here 69 years. When you become an officer, you're standing on the shoulders of so many people over generations that have come before you that have made the club stay along for quite a while. Now I'm going to move into my general evaluator role as for the meeting, and want to start with our Toastmaster today. I just came with one word, a hoot. You were quite a hoot today. Very funny, witty, engaging, energetic, every adjective there is. You did a really great job. I appreciate you taking on the role today. We also came up with the milkman, your partner in time. Had quite a few little zingers there. Now, our evaluator, Alan, he gave great feedback to our speaker. He told him what he did well, but he also gave him some challenges, told him room for improvement, and that's part of it, is telling what they did good, but also where they can have room for improvement. And as far as your speech go, I thought it was great. I think Michael Scott would be very proud of you for promoting the paper business. I thought for sure you're going to do a Michael Scott reference. Timer did great. Thank you for kind of bringing some energy to it. Our grammarian as well. But everybody did great. I appreciate the people getting out of their comfort zones, especially Princess. She said she wanted to, and then she came up here and she did it. And again, we're running out of time, and we try to keep everybody's obligations at home forefront. So I want to turn it back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Colin. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the kind words, David. I get absolutely no love for my dad jokes at home, so it's refreshing to be here and get a little bit, boost my self-esteem, which is below sea level usually. So out of respect for everyone's time, try and make this quick. But I hope to leave you with a little bit more of a curiosity and interest in getting out and seeing the many wonderful, often cheap, often free parks and public spaces that we have available to us here in this great country. And I'd like to share with you very briefly my connection to my favorite national park. So I grew up in Northeast Ohio, just outside of Akron, Ohio, 15 minutes from the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. This is a relatively new national park. When you are thinking about just the span of the National Park Service, it was created in 2001 when I was in 6th grade. And I went to school in that national park from 6th grade until my sophomore year of high school. My school was actually in the national park. So more than half of my year, for all of those years, I was in that park every day. And it was a very idyllic educational setting that I cherish very much and enjoy going back to when I go back home to my ancestral lands of Ohio. So with that, thank you all so much. You've been a great crowd tonight. Looking forward to seeing you all next week, and especially on the 20th for our club officer voting. And with that, and I will turn it back over to our current president, Elvis Lopez, to take us home. Elvis.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, for helping us learn a little bit more about the national parks and those idyllic places. I would like to ask for all of our members and guests to give another round of applause for our Toastmaster of the Day for such an excellent job tonight. Excellent, excellent job. And before we close up our meeting, I would like to go back to our guests and ask for one more time for your participation and tell us your final thoughts about the meeting as a whole. And with that, I would like to start with our remaining member or guest online, Andrew. You're still on mute.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted now. But no, the first, like I said, this was my first meeting and it was enlightening. It's really cool to see a crowd of people that are supportive of each other in ways to get better at public speaking or what have you, whatever each individual's goal is. So it was enlightening. It was great. I'm energized and looking forward to coming back next week and all the weeks that I can going forward.
Great, it's great to have you. Now, David, if you can help with the ones who are on site, passing on the mic.
Cool. I'm next. Oh, should I stand up? Yeah, cool. Hi everybody. I'm Elliot. Really enjoyed. This is my first meeting here at Queen City Toastmasters. Yeah, really enjoyed it and looking forward to coming back.
I had a great time tonight. I will definitely be back. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time, but with COVID, everything with virtual, and I just really need to get back in person. So I'm happy Toastmasters is back in person. Thank you.
Tonight's meeting was really good. I was absolutely terrified, but I'm happy I got up there and said something. So thank you guys all for your encouragement and the tough question that you asked me. But I think I'm ready to become a Toastmaster. So
Yeah, I really enjoyed the meeting tonight. I like that there's so many creative ways that everybody can be engaged and everybody can talk. I didn't realize that you not only had speakers, but then you had I don't know, not the lightning round. What's the one? Yeah, the table talks. Yes, the table talks, and then you have the grammarian and the timekeeper and all that. Like all of that, and the fact that everybody has a chance to talk is really cool. And I'll definitely be back.
I think that's all of us, Elvis.
All right, thank you so much. I would like to encourage all of our members to sign up for roles for our next meeting. Our guests, please keep coming. You are welcome always. Our club is open both online and on site, in person, and we have meetings every Tuesday. So again, for all our members, please sign up for roles for next week, and we will meet next week. So for now, I would like to thank you all and see you next week.